I would now like to invite His Excellency Navdeep Singh Suri, Indian Ambassador to UAE, to deliver his address, please.
Honorable Ministers from Punjab, Delhi, and Assam, the delegates from West Bengal, my dear friend, Excellency Abdullah Saleh, the Undersecretary for Ministry of Economy, leaders of the Business Leaders Forum, and the distinguished members of the business community who are here today. It's wonderful to be back in your midst for the second edition of the India-UAE Partnership Summit. It's always great to see a little baby grow and exceed your aspirations. Just going back to where we were last year, I wanted to share with you a couple of thoughts on how this relationship between India and UAE that Mr. Ram Baksani spoke about, that Mr. Abdullah Noemi spoke about, is moving forward. I think till last year, we were taking satisfaction about the comprehensive strategic partnership agreement that was signed between Prime Minister Modi and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. But there were skeptics who were still asking, what does this really mean? What is strategic about the relationship? How do you define it? Tell us more. Or are these simply words that diplomats like to use? I can say that in the last year, we've seen real flesh and bones on this strategic partnership. If you look at the area of energy, what used to be a simple buyer-seller relationship is today transformed. We got our first oil concessions, and we are pitching for more. We got our first strategic petroleum reserve with ADNOC, and there's a second one in the offing. And ADNOC and Aramco have signed an agreement to be strategic partners for the world's largest petrochemicals and refining complex that will come up south of Mumbai at an investment of $44 billion. And half of that oil will come from ADNOC and Aramco. Now, those elements make the relationship strategic. When you look at the field of investment and see the reports from Abu Dhabi Investment Authority of their investments in infrastructure, in real estate, in highways, in renewable energy, affordable housing, and now perhaps into non-performing assets. You can see, again, that relationship take shape. When you look at DP World's announcement of a $3 billion investment plan in India, or what Emaar is doing, it gives you that sense that on the investment side, again, some very strategic relationships are being forged. In defense, we're today having conversations that would have been inconceivable 5 years back. And if I were to say that all of these were captured earlier this month, when on the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th of October, within the space of a week, we had the honor of hosting His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Zayed in his capacity as Managing Director of ADIA, to discuss investment opportunities, but also to see which are the areas where ADIA could take a lead. We had Dr. Sultan Jaber in very substantive meetings in Delhi to increase our cooperation in the energy sector, but also to discuss how UAE can be helpful to India at this point of time when oil prices are going through the roof, and the impact of those oil prices and of supply-side constraints is visible on the Indian economy. And we had His Excellency Mr. Mohammad Al-Buadi, the Minister of State for Defense, in that very same week, and his team visiting Pune, visiting Bangalore, visiting both private sector and public sector defense manufacturing facilities to put in place the architecture of a much stronger cooperation in an entirely new area. But when I say this, I do get the sense that in a sense, the governments are moving faster. The governments of UAE and India are much more seized of the opportunity, of the dynamism, of the potential. And for once, perhaps, the private sector is lagging behind. I was delighted to hear from Sudesh Agarwal that the BLF has taken the lead, and that's certainly one way to go. But I do want to say that when we Indians look at why is it that we don't see enough Emirati investors going into India, we are often reminded, oh, you know, there were those problems of the past about Ittisalat and Immar and DP World and so on. And I used to listen to these. But guess what? Immar's back. DP World is back. Ittisalat will probably find the market too competitive to get back in. And the rest of the world is there. Yes, there was a time that we used to acknowledge your concerns that India is hard, it is difficult. But look what happened last year. India jumped 32 places in 1 year in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business rankings. The new set of rankings, I think, are out tomorrow. And let me stick my neck out and say that we are hoping for another jump and another the year after that, because the government is committed to making India an easier place to do business in. And some of that is being reflected in the growing investment flows. $42 billion this year in the first 9 months in terms of FDI. But there is a second aspect of this, which is perhaps the belated recognition in Delhi that the central government in a federal country like ours can do whatever it likes to improve the regulatory system, to make things easier, but it ain't going to happen until the action moves to the states. Because at the end of the day, the investor is going to a particular state. And that's where these two concepts that have been introduced by the Prime Minister of cooperative federalism and competitive federalism come into play. To have this idea that the World Bank should not only rank India in ease of doing business, but should rank each individual state in its ease of doing business. And I can tell you that yesterday we had the opportunity to spend some time with the Honorable Finance Minister of Punjab. And it was so refreshing to hear from him the forward-looking approach and his vision to making Punjab, as an example, a more attractive state to invest in. And I hear similar words from Delhi, from Assam, from Andhra Pradesh, from Telangana, from Gujarat. And that competition between the states is going to be a driver for new efficiencies into investments. So I'm delighted that the Business Leaders Forum has taken this initiative to invite 4 different state governments. I think that's the way forward, to be focused. And it's a great beginning, and I hope that all of you will find the presentations by the ministers, but in particular, the sessions tomorrow, which are going to be much more substantive, focusing on individual states, and the thematic sessions later in the afternoon today of value. Let me again leave the thought, India is open for business. India welcomes you. States have their own red carpets, and you choose which is the perfect shade of red, which is softer and gentler as you walk into India. Thank you very much.